I was listening to this discussion, and I grew up in a totalitarian country where individuals didn't have rights, law-abiding individuals didn't have rights and didn't have rights to own guns. And that's actually the first thing that totalitarian country under Stalin did, to take people from law-abiding citizens to guns. So only two groups of people had guns. It was the police and bandits. And the Soviet government used police, and if they couldn't to suppress people, then they used bandits on people. And that is what suppression is. So this right empowers as an individual, and it's a very important right. And this is a very important discussion to have. If we talk about, red flag laws, Indiana had them since 2005, and I'm not going to point out how bad provisions of this law I think my colleagues did. We put with due processes, with proper processes, the laws, not really overreaching as this bill, not really federalizing. But unfortunately, it would be that easy. We could prevent, crimes, but laws do not prevent crimes. We had, school shootings. We had just recently at FedEx facility shootings. So it's not going to stop, unfortunately, bad people that are going to try to do bad things. But if we're going to have a legitimate cases, we're going to help people, we have to respect constitutional right, and this bill doesn't do it. But talking about violence, if we're going to talk about violence, Indianapolis has some of the highest crime rates in the country. So definitely doesn't have this violence. But if we're going to talk about violence and anarchy, why don't we talk about what's happening in our border? Drug trafficking, human trafficking, and lawlessness and anarchy on this border, which increases violence in a lot of cities. Why are we talking about not defunding the police and vaccine mandates on policemen that a lot of people now live in the police force? That is increased violence in these cities. Why are we talking about only a third of our children and can read and write by grade 10, and a lot of cities and urban communities, only tens of children can do that. That has created a lot of problems and violence. Why don't we talk about issues that really create violence and why we have this increase in violence, not trying to take rights from law-abiding citizens and suppress? Because unfortunately, our government, now FBI using warrantless surveillance, Department of Justice intimidate parents at school board meetings. We have IRS going to be collected information on people. We're becoming like a surveillance state, like a totalitarian regime. And that breaks my heart to see that. So I think we need to have a serious discussion about what we can do to reduce violence, and a lot of them actually happen in the Democrat-run cities, but we need to help them. And I represent one of the cities. I want to be helpful, but let's have serious discussion and protect rights, constitutional rights of individuals, and write these laws that they don't infringe on our rights, because this is the only difference between our country and any other country in the world. That's why people want to come here. We're the greatest country in the world because people have the most freedom protected by our Constitution. And the only function we legislators have, that people give us right to be here, to protect their rights to life, liberty, and property. That is the only reason. People give us the right to be here. And we have to think, how do we protect their rights? Don't infringe on their constitutional rights. And it's an extremely important discussion to have. But unfortunately, we cannot have this discussion right now because no one wants to have a serious discussion. We have a lot of drama, but this is a pure infringement. And the way how this bill is written, it's infringement on people's rights. And we cannot be the government of suppression. We have to be the government of liberties and freedoms. And I hope my colleagues can work on some of this issue, how we can make sure that our future generation can experience this great country as our previous generations. And I yield back. Yeah, I yield.